What is up, Packers fans? Welcome back to the Daily Draft, brought to you by Brewski Light Lager from Badger State Brewing, the greatest can in all of Wisconsin. I am Ross Uglem, the publisher of Packer Report and the host of this show. Very, very excited today to break down an intriguing prospect. I've seen him in a couple um, mocks to Green Bay. I think Mike Renner mocked him to Green Bay, and he's interesting. I'll explain why it's interesting, and that is Ole Miss defensive tackle Walter Nolen. A lot of people understand that Green Bay is potentially in the defensive tackle search. I just don't know if it's for Nolen, and like I said, I'll explain why as we kind of roll through here. Pros, he's got prototypical size for a three technique, somewhere between 6'3" and 6'4", right at 305 or 306 pounds. Not going to get pushed around in the run game, but not so much mass that he can't theoretically get upfield. He is what the Lord intended for a three technique. That's what he is. He is an extremely high level run defender for a defensive tackle of his size. What I mean is that he's not a nose. He's not 330, but he sort of defends the run like he is 330. I don't mean in the way that he's immovable. I mean that in the way that he is so damn effective against the run that you would think that he was, the big old defensive lineman that a front seven sort of builds its entire run defense around. He's that level of a run defender, in my opinion. I think he looks like a good athlete on film. Maybe not great. We'll see what drills he does at the combine. Try and get some more uh, definitive numbers on like explosiveness, change of direction. I don't really care what he runs in the 40, right? Vertical jump, I care about that. That shows me how much explosive he has in his lower body. I mean, those are things I do care about. L drill, I'd love to see, his ability to move and kind of do some of those things. But I see a good athlete on film. I think he moves well laterally, side to side. I think you see him work down the line without giving up ground when he defends outside zone runs. And I think that's definitely a positive for a player of his size. He's strong and physical at the point of attack, very, very much so. He's a three tech. Normally, you're not catching the double team. You're not catching that work from the center, but he's not moving backwards, right? Guards are not able to move him off the line of scrimmage. So if it's kind of a dive or some sort of play inside zone at him, he's not moving. And as I mentioned, if it's outside zone away or whatever, he's able to move down the line without giving up ground. Good in the stunt game. I think he does a decent job as the guy who kind of sets the pick, and I think he does a decent job as the guy who rolls around the pick. I have enjoyed watching him work in stunts, and he's got a good, strong bull rush. Not an elite pass rusher, which is part of what we'll talk about. But I enjoy watching him in stunts, and I enjoy watching him bull rush. Young player, too, plenty of runway. I think he's 21 years old right now. I think he's a true, 3 years in college, go to the league type kid, and no injuries of note in his career. Guys, buy the Green Bay Draft Guide powered by Packer Report. Promo code DAILY for $1 off. We've got a link here, and somebody just posted what we said about Dontavion Wicks the year he was drafted and how much we nailed it. And I think the best thing that we do at the Green Bay Draft Guide is we really feel like we have a decent grasp on what the Packers will do. You can see as how many of Jacob Morley's tier 1 and 2 fits from these drafts make up. Obviously, there's 300 players you can draft. The Packers are only going to take between 7 and 10. So that percentage isn't what you're looking for. The percentage is the percentage of Green Bay's class that are tier 2 or tier 1 fits, according to Jacob Morley. That really narrows down who you're studying, who you're watching, who you're getting excited for as a Green Bay Packer potentially. Okay, negatives. Not an elite pass rusher at this time. I don't see that. Specifically, his pass rush productivity was really limited to this last year at Ole Miss. Did not do much in 2023 or 2022. Can occasionally, I think, play too tall and let linemen get under him. He does not appear to have the length to create separation from offensive linemen. I don't know what his arm length is. Maybe they did that. I can't remember. I think he's an underclassman guy, but those guys can go to the Senior Bowl. I can never pay attention to where all these guys went or all the measurements. But I want to see his combine measurement for his actual arm length because it seemed like he was letting defensive linemen get into his chest. And that's what I'm really talking about is even on interior pass rush, creating separation is so important that when you let a lineman get in here and get control of you, it isn't very many defensive tackles that can then defeat that and can then be, whatever uh whatever he's kind of able to get up the field after this happens, and I see that happening too often to Walter Nolen. I don't see much of a pass rush counter game. If move one doesn't work, it's not there. He's not able to work off of one pass rush move to set up a second one, or if one fails, he's not often able to succeed on the second one. Um, it just it, it I just don't see the diversity in his pass rush game, and that would be kind of my negatives here. Whether you're breaking down draft picks or breaking in a fresh pack of cheese curds, you need a cold one in hand. Grab a Brewski Light Lager, one of Wisconsin's fastest growing beer brands. Crisp, refreshing, and built for game day. All right. Packers fit. I think they're definitely in the defensive tackle market. I think they're more in the market for a nose tackle, and he's definitely not a nose tackle. I think you have to take him in round one, and I don't know if he rushes the passer enough to take a run defending three tech in round one. Nothing that I can see physically where he wouldn't fit in what they like to do at defensive tackle. And they're weird about defensive tackle. It's not like Wyatt was a freak athlete, but I don't think Kenny Clark was. They're not super specific about like we see as what equates to a relative athletic score at defensive tackle. We have a really, really good grip on like edge, wide receiver, and corner. I don't know how good of a grip we have on what they like at defensive tackle, just from an athletics metric standpoint. Ultimately, he's a really, really good football player. So if you're into adding really, really good football players, add him. I've got a high round 2 grade. He's my 29th overall player. I don't have 32 first round grades for this year. I would not be a huge fan of a Walter Nolen pick. I don't think they need a 3 tech who doesn't really rush the passer as their first round pick. But I think he makes you a better football team. I mean, he's really good. He's really good at stopping the run. He's a really good football player. But if he's never more than a 4 or a 5 sack guy, to me, that's not a first round pick unless he's like 330 and he's like your nose tackle. And still, I wouldn't burn a first round pick on that. But when he's playing that 3 tech position, and I wonder if he can ever get to 7 or 8 sacks in the league, I personally struggle with him as a first round pick. With that said, awesome football player. All right, guys, short and sweet. Drink, brewski, buy the draft guide, watch this channel, and listen to it, of course, if you are on the podcast side. Thank you guys so much. Have a great day. Go Pack Go.